Paint Girly here. I'm back. I got that phone call from my hubby and all is well, so that's good. And I thought I would just continue on a little bit this evening, see if I could get my second episode recorded. And continue on with the building of this journal. So I kind of put my signatures together. I have a few pages that I still want to do because I want to stain them. Of course, now I'm looking around thinking, where did I put them? But anywho, as it stands right now, this is how the journal would look. And as you can see, it's quite full. And that's without any journaling cards or ephemera included. The other thing I noticed is that even the pages of the book, they really are the size of the book. Sometimes a book, you have a little bit of wiggle room at the top and the bottom. I'm not sure. I might want to trim some of that down. I'm still thinking about that. And then as you put your signatures together and put more pages in, you get some fanning, unless you really push them in there. So some of these might have to be trimmed. I'll just see how it looks because I'm so close to the edge of the book. But additionally, I'm going to take this spine off. So then I'll be able to move this out and build the book and make it a little deeper. So that may not be, the idea of the pages being uneven was really not a problem for me. But I don't want them sticking out beyond the cover. Little tags and such, I don't mind those sticking out, but I don't want my pages sticking out. So since I'm removing the spine, I'll be able to adjust that. And I did get my material from my neighbor. I thought the pattern was a smaller flower than it is, so I'm not quite sure if this is, I mean, it's beautiful material. Color-wise, I think it would work. I would just grunge it up a little bit. So I'm thinking a couple of things. It may work because I want to put a frame on the front and then maybe one of the images from the book. So this may work for me. Let's just see. I have my frame in here somewhere. I tend to be a scattered thinker. And I think these are frames. Well, at least there's one, or I could take one apart. I have other ones somewhere too. This may or may not be what I'm looking for. I'm thinking that could go on the book. I may have some that are a little smaller. I'll have to dig through some of my other stuff. Or I could make my own, actually. So I'm thinking about that. And you really don't see that much of the material. I definitely want to go smaller because I want one of my images on the front. Let's see if I can get this apart. Probably never use this as is. This is, I think this is a Tim Holtz thing. That's so cool. I mean, look at the back. I would never glue that down on anything because it's so stinking cute. So stinking. Nah. It's not coming apart as easily as I had hoped. really think this is too big. Yeah, I need something smaller, but kind of get the idea. So the other thing I can do is cover the book maybe in muslin and cut out a couple of these flowers and glue them on. You know, if this is smaller, you'll see a lot. Let's just get out my handy dandy new paper trimmer. Let's just trim this. This is an accident waiting to happen here because I'm not on a flat surface. Let's just move the book. Meanwhile, my coffee will be getting cold. Okay, I really like my new paper trimmer, but I have to get used to where the actual cut line is. I don't know why some of the other trimmers may be a little easier. It has this guard on it, and I'm still on the fence about the guard. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave that on there or take it's removable. I didn't really want to cut those words off, but I did it. My little guillotine went all the way down. That was my fault. So, and I can trim this up, of course. See. So if I put that, I could put a frame all the way around it, or I could put lace under, and then I could just frame out a portion of it because I like to use those, what are they called? Slide projector. Oh gosh, I have tons of them. My mom had them in her basement. They were plastic for a while, but the older ones are cardboard. And I have a ton of them over here. Let's see. And you can use the little film too. But these are cute. And they're pretty easy to get the, oh, I don't want to bend them, and I'm bending it. Now, if I slip this, of course, it's really easy to get that out. My goodness, this blade on this little cutter is not as sharp as I'm thinking it is. There we go. I should have just, did you push it? I should have pushed it. See, I can just use, you know, and just capture a portion of the picture. I'm not going to use this picture for the front of the book. I have to look through and decide. But that's an idea. And then I'll see more of the flower print on the book. I could put some lace. Okay, so the ideas are swirling around in my head. So even if I don't use this material, I will use some material that will work, but this is very pretty. And I'm pleased with that mistake. If you didn't listen to my the first episode in this project, I ordered what I thought was cereal for my neighbor, and I ended up clicking on that material that I had sitting in my cart. On accident, as my granddaughter would say. All right, so I had put aside here they are, these pages. And I want to grunge these up a bit. So earlier, I was working on some Let's see, I'll get this off to the side. I got some seam binding in one of my, when I was over at the Medford shop, the antique shop, and I wanted to tea stain some of that. So I had that in a pot. So I have some tea sitting here, and some of the girls on a few of the live streams were saying if you add clove to your tea water, it won't mold. It'll keep longer for you. So I added some clove. They also cautioned not to let your pets near it. I don't know if it's pets in general or dogs specifically, but you don't want your pets near clove. And so I'm going to stain these, but I don't want to dip them in a pot and go through all that jazz. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of this tea in a spritzer. I think I have an empty, at least I did, a little atomizer or sprayer thing. And I did at one time have a little funnel. Of course, I don't know where that is. Shocker. I may have gotten rid of that little funnel. And I'm hoping I can pour this without creating too much of a mess. You know, probably the smart thing to do would be to put it in something like this that I can squeeze. So I just have it in a old jar. Ooh, it smells good. And this might just be enough. I know I'm going to stain that anyway, but I don't want to blob it. This may just, well, you know what? I'm going to let that little clove go in there. It's not super dark tea. And I'm just going to spritz my paper. And I'm working on a glass surface. This is the Tim Holtz glass craft mat. And I like it okay. I'm still deciding whether I am in love with it. So hopefully this will stain just enough. It doesn't look like it's really doing anything much, but you know what? It smells great. And I did have some, this is just brown acrylic paint mixed with water. I don't think I put anything else in here. I don't think there's anything else in here. I'm going to spritz some of this on. Now that looks more like what I'm looking for. Of course, you want your surface that you're doing this on to be clean. It's obviously, I thought mine was, but it's not. It's picking up a little gunk. Now I'm going to quick use my heat gun and dry this a little bit and see if it's what I want before I go and work. Let's see this up. Looking my surface a little. And the ink from the paper is bleeding a little bit, which that's okay, that doesn't bother me. I've got this quite saturated. I think it's going to be good. Now, I didn't think this ahead real well, because I need to lay this somewhere that it's not going to stick. I have a plastic bag here. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to use one of these. I'm going to use one of my plastic storage tubs and sit it on that. And I can fit 2 of them on there. So I'm going to mop up the rest of this on from my work surface. And I'm going to do the same thing. Spritz it with my tea. Even though that didn't seem to do a whole lot, I'm just going to make it uniform. And then I hit it with my mixture of brown paint. I think this is cinnamon color I used. Pick that up. I'm going to put that off to the side to let it dry. Now I have all those plastic tubs. I have a stack of them in a little unit that holds several trays of those storage bins. And I use those as shelving sometimes. So I'm just pulling those out. Oh, I like the way that looks. Tea. Really, this smells great. Clove was a great idea, even if it doesn't do anything. The other thing the girls said was to use distilled water, and that will help you not have your tea go moldy. So that's another tip. Now I also want to do this designer paper that I had pulled out. All right, now while I'm doing this, I'm just going to take a glance at stitch my signatures at specialty papers. So I may have to take a few minutes and dry some of this paper, because I can't do my signatures unless my paper's dry. And I haven't figured out how I can record and take a break or step away from the camera. I guess I could mute, but then it's like dead air. I guess I could just let it record and then trim out what I don't want. Definitely things to think about. I'm going to smooth some of this out. Put a little bit on the outer edge. When I first started to work out in this room, this is our 4th season room. I've kind of taken it over. We had a little portable heater that I used, and that was great because I could lay my paper on that heater and it would dry real quick. Not so much anymore. This room always stays a little on the cool side. Mopping up that excess. And after watching some of the girls that live stream, I now keep baby wipes right by my side, so I can grab those quickly and clean up my hands or clean up any kind of a surface mess. I don't know if this will rip my paper or not. This is a little, it doesn't do much. Oh, it does a little. I got this a Tuesday morning by Vicky Boutin. It's a hard rubber, hard plastic. It's got a little pliable. And of course it's for if you're using molding paste and things like that. But I've used it on paint a few times to cause a little bit of interest. Yeah, it works a little bit, but this is really, really watered down paint. And of course tea. And my nozzle's getting a little clogged. These little spray bottles are great, but you do want to make sure. Now, I've been better at it, putting it away, cleaning your nozzle. You want to have a clean nozzle, so it sprays nicely for you. I think I'm at a bad angle. Putting out a liquid here. Oh, maybe I've got a clove stuck in my. Could be. This one's really clogging up. Probably have something that's down in the little hose that's in the bottle. Oh, come on. This is my last one. I don't want to have to take it apart. Come on, little fella. Not working. Let's do it this way. Just want to get enough on here to. Yeah, I think I've got a blockage. I'll need to take care of that after I am done recording. I'll tap this in my mess. And then when the paper dries, it's kind of wrinkly and feels different. And I just love the way it feels. And if you have a whole book of it, it gets real fluffy. I know. I need therapy. All right, so now I've got paper sitting everywhere, drying. I'll get my baby wipe. Clean up this mess. All right. So while that is drying, rather than using my heat gun, I mean, I may have to use it at some point, but I have a few other things I can do to prepare for putting the book together. So I might as well do that now. And give that a little chance to dry on its own. And you might think that that spray, oh, it's not going to spray over here. It does. It sprays everywhere. So if you have anything nearby that you don't want to get spritzed, cover it up or move it. Because sure enough, it will. I've got it all over my keyboard. It will get sprayed. Okay, I'm going to dry this real quick with my heat gun. Just to dry my surface a little bit. And when I pull my napkins apart for other projects, I always save the little backing piece because it's good for cleaning up like this or for blowing your nose. Use up everything we can. All right. Now, my little tea sprayer, I'm going to give that a little wipe. Put the lid on. Now, I said I pulled out a few things to include somewhere in the book. And I'm going to put my piece of cardboard back. eliminate that shine. So I have my little pieces. And I can't remember if I did 2 bags or 3. I know I was talking about doing 2 and not 3, but we'll see. So then I think I may only do, now see, all these are pieces that I've cut off of the pages. I can use this for a variety of things. We'll just see. Like I said, that book paper is really almost like cardstock. It's really nice. And here's the little words that I wasn't going to cut, but I did. I wasn't paying attention. A couple more little pockets. And I'm going to start mostly everything that I create or do, I do with an antique edge or vintage kind of a look. Now see, I don't know how this is going to work because these are like a vinyl. It's not a regular sticker. So they're not going to take ink, I don't believe. But these just seem like paper. So let me just start with these. So what I'm going to do is, these don't need anything, I don't think. They look old and grungy enough for me. I'm going to set these aside. And I'm going to get out my Tim Holtz Distressed Ink Vintage Photo, my favorite. And then my blending tool with my sponge that matches that color. And I'm going to start grunging up some of these. If I can get myself situated here. And we'll work on these while these pages hopefully don't take too terribly long to dry. And I have purchased the refill. Well, this is black soot, but I also have it in the vintage photo where you can buy this. It's in a little eyedropper, and then you can re-ink your pad. Because here it is. Oh, that's a different one, even still. But I have it back in there in my with all my inks. So it's I think it's more economical. If you find a color that you really like, to me it makes sense to do that. So what I want to do is I want to grunge up these stickers that I think I might use. But I also want to put them on, like I'd said before, some kind of cardstock. So I think I'm going to use this book page. And I was thinking I might like little birds. So I'm just going to put what little stickers I might think will work. Got a little heart there that's hard to see because it's such a light pink. A little light pink heart. Actually, I could probably just grunge them on here. I'm just going to take my inking tool and grunge right over the top. Just going to grunge them on here, but that's silly, really. Might as well grunge them over here. And then I want to grunge a couple of these, because these might come in handy when I build some clusters for in the journal. And like I said, I grunge up mostly everything I use, so grunging them all is not a problem for me. I'm going to do a couple of these roses, and I like these leaves. And I like that gray. And look, there's some little birds here. Little birds. I like those flowers. I like these words. So let's put a little. Now I don't want to see if I do that on top of there. See, I get a little bit of a line, which I shouldn't do that. You don't want to do this on top of the surface that you're planning to use, because this definitely creates a line when you're inking. So you just want to be aware of that. May not bother you, but I don't want a line through the middle of my rose, which is where I was headed. I'm not sure I'll use all of these, but that's a good start. And like I said, these are plastic, and I don't think Tim's ink, at least this ink, is I think it'll wipe right off of this. It's not permanent once it dries. StazOn is, and the archival ink is, but I don't know that I would really want that grunged up anyway. I might use these. I'm not sure. I don't know how well you would see something through that film. It's like a little clear plastic film sticky on the back. Woo! Well, I didn't mean to do that, boys and girls. I'll also put it down there now. Yeah, you can see through it very well. It'll be a pain to cut around those little leaves. I'm going to have to glue that. See if I can make that work. I might tear around that edge. Woo, man, that's stuck there pretty quick. That's cool, though. I like those. Okay, so now we know about that. What not to do. So then I'm going to come back and pull some of these off and put on this heavier paper. And then when I need them, I can just ink around the edges, cut out what I need. Of course, I can always darken them up. Bring my camera down just a little bit. And hope it doesn't fall off my shelf. Let's see here. Get one of these. Pages means I'm going to use the picture. I'll just use the other side here. I kind of like that, so I'm not going to use that. I'll save that just in case. That Mildred's Inheritance. And I'll pop a couple more of these on this paper. That's a lot of fussy cutting, but I can sit while I watch TV and trim out some of these. I don't mind fussy cutting. It's not for everybody, but I personally do not mind it. Of course, I could tear around them too, and it would look cute. Let's face it, no matter what you do, people are going to look at it and say, oh my gosh, that's so stinking cute. So stinking cute. Or they won't say anything at all. Right? Some little leaves will come in handy. And these look like little daisies of sorts. And if you're real handy with an X-Acto knife, you could really come in with an X-Acto knife and trim around. Or a paper punch might work. You know, stick your little paper punch in there and just cut little circles. That might be an idea. It'd be even easier to trim them out. And I can always come back and do more of these. I'll just get a few here to get us started. So I'm going to put that aside. And then I want to ink these as well. And I don't really want a line here. So I'm going to put a little piece of paper in there. And I'm going to just use my ink pad and just scrunch this up a little bit. And as you can see, that worked really well. And I would like to put a little divot there too. I'm not sure if I still have my little, I have a little tiny circle punch. Let's see if I can find that. I try to keep all of my, there it is, my little punches in one spot because they tend to get buried. And I like to punch with the metal part facing up so I can see what I'm doing. But you have to have enough room in the pocket part if you don't have a thin punch to get it in there. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Know what I'm saying? And I just eyeball it. Okay, now, okay, I know I'm weird, but like, how cute is that? Right? Cute. It's probably a little off-centered. I think I might put a little piece of paper in there and line the back of that because I can. Maybe a book page. We'll see. I'm not good with measurements, but I think I'm going to measure that and see if I can. Oh, I didn't do my little... Kids, you should remind me of this stuff. I didn't do my little punch. That's definitely off center. Let's see if we can ruin it further. If I go in and just go over a little bit. It's like cutting toenails, okay? I don't want to take too much off. I think that's good enough. I might have to come in with my bigger one. Let's see if I can fix that. You know, you can't see that much of it, but the problem with me is I know it's there. And then it haunts me. Oh, I have it up here. See that I don't think I'm going to be able to fit this one in there because it's so, yeah, see, it's too large, won't go in. It would have to be this way. And I don't know if I can get a clear look. Oh, I might be able to. Note to self, eyeball it better. I'm going to go over this way. I think I'm going the wrong way. I should be coming over this way. Well, it's going to have to live like that. By the time we're done with this, you won't even know. So what I'm thinking is, if I have these other book pages attached to my... Well, that was not a good one. I keep picking up. Let's see if this one will work. Yeah, because I want to use that, possibly. All right, so I need a little sheet of paper. Let's see, this measures just a little over 2.5 inches. So if I make it 2.5, get out my lovely new little paper trimmer. And I'm going to take the bottom off of this because I want words there. And I'm going to go ahead and measure. Let's see, 2.5, and it was just a smidge. I can always trim it. Let's go this way so I have a straight edge up against my guide. And of course, I want to trim this little bit off. So just a little smidge. We're going to go right with the 2.5. See where that takes us. Well, now the problem with that is, I mean, the size is great. 2.5 works perfect. But the problem with that is, can you see? Can you tell? Do you know what I'm going to say? The words are sideways. So I want it to be this way. So I'm going to do my 2.5 this way. And I don't want, well, let's see. I guess I can. I'm going to glue it in like that, and then I'm going to trim it off the back here. Make sense? I'm going to get a little glue. And can you see what I'm doing? Put a little glue around the edge. Down here a little bit. And then I'm going to slip this in where I want it. Press it down. And give that a minute to set up. It's crooked. So I'll give it a little push. Usually you have some wiggle room, but this is art glitter glue and you don't have that much wiggle time. So get it where you want it. Probably you could put the card in and then sneak the glue behind it. See how that works. And then let's make another. So I'm going to save all these side trimmings because if I want to write any words, even for other projects, like I said, this is great paper. It's a little aged. It's got a nice weight to it. And I want this to be 2.5. I don't need all of that. So I'm going to trim some of that off. Find my other little. Excellent. Okay. Let's do it this way this time. So I got it pretty much where I want it, and I'm just going to sneak some glue behind here. You can always use paper glue, you know, your paper tape or your double-sided tape. But I kind of save that for other stuff where I don't want the possibility of any warpage. It's a little more expensive than your. Most of the time I use Mod Podge. I don't use white glue so much because for some reason that seems to warp paper for me. I like the Mod Podge. Then I'm just going to come with my scissors. I'll flip this over and trim. Now I'm going to decorate the front of this as well once I see what kind of paper, what kind of look I'm going for. That's not quite glued down right there because I pulled that up. I'm going to trim it and go from there. Okay, so I have those ready to go when I'm ready to decorate. And then these are also stickers. So I'm going to put them on some cardstock. And I always keep little scraps of cardstock to my right. I have a little box here. I just always shove them in. So just going to glue some of these down. And then I can trim them. And then I have some options, whether I use them to decorate pockets, journaling cards. I have some options. And you can cut these on your cutter, or you could use, regular scissors, whatever you're more comfortable with. These are just ones that I grunged up thinking I might use in this book. This one might work. See if we can get this one here. I don't want to have to do a lot of trimming. I've got this. Let me just trim it this way first. I've got that rough edge. If you didn't watch my haul video, I got this set. Now I got to watch here because I don't want to clip off the end of this one little piece. Not quite to where I need to be. There's a gal who does amazing things. Her channel, it's called, she's called G Kerr, Gikerr. She lives in Portugal. She does amazing things. You have to look at her channel, especially if you like Victorian kind of vintagey, lacy paper stuff. Ugh, she's fabulous. Anyway, she's got the cutest little cutter that she just keeps to her side. It's always right there, and it's not this one. I don't know what it was. I was going to ask her, but then I saw this one in Tuesday morning, so I just got it. But it's so great to have something. I mean, you need, if you're really into scrapbooking or journal making or anything with paper, making cards, I mean, you have to have a paper trimmer. You just make yourself crazy trying to cut stuff by hand. At least that's my take on the whole subject. But having this little one for these small things is just like so great. And like I said, I saw two of them. The other one was longer, a Tuesday morning. It was narrow like this, but it was longer, and it was only $5. But it was one where you had to keep replacing the blade. They say that these blades are self-sharpening, so it'll never have to be replaced. Well, like, isn't that a bonus? And it's shorter, fits on my desk better. And the other one was a dark gray, and the markings were just grooved in. They weren't like painted. They were hard for me to see, so I opted to spend a little more money and got this one. And oh my goodness, I'm so thrilled with it. I can't even tell you. So thrilled with it. You see, I got some kind of dinging going on here. I don't know what that was about. So let me trim these out. Meanwhile, I should check my paper. And some of you may be like, maybe you're really good cutters and you cut straight. I can't cut straight when I have a line. I do a little better with the Tim Holtz scissors. For some reason, they seem to keep me a little straighter. But generally speaking, cannot cut straight. Cannot cut straight. So these longer lines, like some of these, I'll probably do the little shortcut with my scissors, like this. You know, this little guy. I'll do that. But the longer cuts, I usually do on my paper cutter trimmer. So if you can, sometimes at Goodwill you can find paper cutter. You know, folks doing some artwork, or the upgrade, or a friend gives them one, they end up with two. You know, sometimes you can find a I thought I found a second heat gun at Goodwill. Oh my gosh, I was so excited, but it was just the box. I searched high and low, could not find a heat gun that went with that box. Because it was only a couple of dollars. I could give that away, give it to someone to use. See, now what I'll do is I'll come back and really make these edges. See, I have a little overhang there. Probably know this trick too. Just take a little emery board type of thing. You can sand that off usually quite easily most times, instead of getting out your scissors and trying to, you know, get that off. So this is what I'm thinking. You know, this can go on here, and we could do something like that there. You know, put some kind of background paper on there, put a butterfly or a little bird, little piece of text. Little piece of material. So, I mean, these will be really cute to add to the book. Let's see, what else do we have here? We need some other little, let's see. Now the paper's starting to dry a little bit. Not much, but a little. I need to reheat on my coffee. Let's see. I'm going to use some of these little pieces of card stock where I can. Sometimes I'm going through my paper stash and I think, really, Lori, you save that little tiny? But I do. Especially if it's paper you can't get anymore. Oh, there was this one Christmas paper. It had these little Christmas trees all over it. And I think when I bought it, it was already discontinued. I love that paper. I think it was called a figgy pudding or something like that. I don't know who that was by. I don't know if it was by Authentique or Paper House. I don't know, one of those. Anyway, it's great paper. I save every little scrap of it I have because I don't know when I would ever get any again. I don't go to too many scrapbook conventions. I used to go to scrapbook conventions, and sometimes, you know, you could find a little sheet of this or that here and there, you know, for $1 or 50 cents. I don't go to those anymore. All right, so I think this is all pretty much scrap that I can use. I think I can use that. Put some of these on. I'm interested really in the pink. If I line it up to the edge, then I don't have to trim off that one side. See, there is a method to my somewhat madness. Oh, these are great. Not going to fit. This one will be really kind of crazy to trim around. But it probably will be worth it because it's so cool. Of course, my fingernails don't help, but I really like them. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3. Oh, we're going to need more than that. Let's do a couple more of these. I can always come back and get more, but this really isn't for the next. I won't need these till the next episode, I don't think. All right, so we have those if we need them. We know we have them. Okay, so this is some stuff that we'll use to elevate our pages once we get going. And I've got this stuff here that might come in handy. Got these. I'm going to set those aside. Now, I had some paper that I, used. Let me show you what I did with my the signatures I put together. Of course, I don't know where I laid them. Oh, they're inside my book. They're inside my book cover. This paper here. I wish I can find some more of that. I'm going to look. But basically what I did was use the front inside of the book. Then I had this tea-dyed paper that I was starting another journal with. Page of the book. This one I trimmed down, refolded it, So I have some holes here, but I will address that with a piece of lace or washi tape or something to make a pocket there or something to hide that extra fold. And then more of Mildred's Inheritance page, more scrunched up paper, and then we start in the second half of those pages. Okay, so somewhere in here I should have, and this is what I'm looking for, my little paper bag pocket. So this is going to go in, and I think it's going to go in towards the bottom of the book. Maybe I'll do this one at the top, and the one in the third signature I have towards the bottom. And the reason I'm not doing it right in the center is because when I put my holes in, I'm going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So when I do that, I'm only going to, because this is smaller, I'm only going to be able to catch it in the center. So if I put it towards the top or towards the bottom, I'm hoping to catch it in 2 spots. We'll see if that works. But what I don't like about it is that it's particularly the back part where the bag was folded this is real flimsy. So I'm wanting some kind of paper that goes with the book, ideally one of these pages that I can cut apart and put on this side of my paper bag to kind of shore that up, steady it, so when you're slipping stuff into your signature, so I'm coming back to this stack of paper I had where I stole that paper from. Let's see if I have anything that I can use. That's a different, now I'm sure I have some in my stash, but I'm not prepared. I don't want to go digging through that while I'm recording. So let's just have a little look-see here. And I don't have, I thought I had one more sheet of that pink stuff. Here we go. Oh, this is the pink stuff, but look at this lace. I have more of this, but see, I don't want to waste that. I stitched that in. Not crazy about this side of the paper, and really this is very yellow. But I'm going to take that lace off and save that. But this might work. This was dyed the same time as those other sheets. So let me just get a little measurement here and see. Just one line past 3 1/4. It's almost 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. We could always trim, right? So I'm going to get my little cutter. Now, like I said, this is all prep work. Our pages are drying. So let's see. This doesn't have that additional line. Oh, well, it's got that one there. Let's make it 3 3/8. You can always take more off. You can't put more on. So I'd rather cut a little longer than I need. All right, I'm not liking that so much. So maybe I have a piece of, I want that. This is a piece of that book page where it was the two front pages were glued together. So I'm going to take that plain part of this. Let's use the plain part of this. I think I can just use the bottom. And I think I need it a little bigger. 3, and I always end up putting the rough side in. I don't know why I do that. I'm going to do 3.5. Yeah, that's just a little, let me mark it here. I'm just going to, because I seem to be off for some reason. I'm doing it again. Let me trim it. So let's see. Huh. That's where I cut it before, but it seemed a little short. It's a little longer this way. You may hear my dog carrying on. All right, now I want to trim out. I just want to take a little smidge. This is where I get in trouble with my little smidges. I just want to take a little tiny smidge off. And then take my circle punch. Try to line that up. So that looks okay. And then I think I will take this and cut it smaller so I have a little bit of an edge. I usually eyeball mostly everything. I'm going to do that there. I'm just doing a background and a base for this pocket. And of course, I put the pencil mark on the wrong side. I'm going to erase that off. And I'm going to want to line this up this way. Doesn't have to be exact. And of course, I want to ink these edges. Let's see. Move all this off to the side. I'm going to ink my bag a little bit. Oh, that looks nice. Should have done that first. Then I'm going to ink my... See, So this is why these videos get longer. See, I'm already at 1 hour and 10 minutes. Goodness me. One thing leads to another when you're creating. Once you do it the first time, then you have, it's like your prototype. You know what you want to do. You know where you're headed. But when you're the first time out of the gate, you just don't always know what direction you're going to go in and how you want to do things. Yeah, that's the way it's got to go. No. I mean, there'll be more on top of it. I'm just wondering if I like it enough for it to be the base of my... I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. And I'm just going to glue around the edge. On all 4 sides, a little bit in the middle. Try to get it on there as straight as I can. And then I'm thinking somewhere I had a little piece of book page, or maybe I could just, well, I think I might want this part. And I'm wondering that's not big enough. This looks crooked. All right, so I don't want that. This is what one of the other girls did too. She uses her ruler. This ruler is really long though, kind of gets in my way as far as this kind of a thing. So I'm going to come in a little bit here. Here. I'm going to trim my little half moon out. And I'm going to ink that. Again. And then I'm going to ink this. And I'll end up making a cluster of some kind, I think, on top of this. And I think I'm going to let this be a little pocket, but maybe from the top down. So let's do this. And then I'm going to take my little Tim Holtz, I don't know what they call this. It's got little blades in there. It looks like a little flower. It's got little blades in there that you can go in these little fiddly spots and rough up your paper. Okay, 3 sides. I didn't cap my glue, which is not a good thing. So make sure always recap your glue, especially if you use this little needle nose thingy, which I absolutely love because that clogs and dries up really quickly. And then now I'm going to glue that onto my paper bag. And I'm going to come out a little bit because I want to leave holes for my signature stitches. And if it comes over a little bit that way, if I don't like it, I could trim it, but I don't think that's really going to bother me. I'm not going to come in a lot. And I'm going to do the back of the card. And I'm doing all four sides. Right around my little cutout. And I probably, yep, should have put something in there. I usually have a little piece of acetate, and that'll work. Oh, heavens. It's very slippery. It's a little bigger than I need. But I got too much glue in there, so I got a little bit of extra coming out. Plus, I forgot I had that overhang, and I put it right close to the edge, so you don't want to do that. I got glue everywhere. Now, I don't remember. Yeah, I guess that was here. And this is my first signature. So I said I think I want to go up towards the top with this. And then my other page will come in here like this. Decorate the front of that as well. All right, now let's see. This feels pretty dry. See how our other pages are doing. This is still damp. This one's damp. I think, well, I can't imagine, but the lights might have dried that a little bit. And that's still damp. And those other ones are really damp. So let me use my heat gun. Drier than the others, not too much. I really would like to show you. This one might not be too bad. I'll hit this one a little bit. I like the way that looks where that bled a little bit. To me, it just adds to the character of the book. Just want to dry this enough to show you what I'm talking about when I put my signatures together. And what I'll do is I will stitch 2 signatures and then come back on and do one on camera. I forgot to close my glue again. I just don't want this to tear when I go to put it in the book, even just to fold it. All right, let's see. I really don't want the videos to be too much longer than, oh my gosh, it's almost an hour and a half. See, not everybody's like me. I could watch paint dry, okay? I know not everybody is like that. I also know you can fast forward, but I don't want you to feel like you have to fast forward. All right. So now I'm not sure this is going to go in this first signature, but I've got my flowered paper there. I'm thinking maybe this dark sheet will look nice here, because then when you open it up, it kind of will have that dark paper behind it for a frame. And then we've got some book pages, another book page. Maybe we need a little something here. I think I want the plain. Either want the plain in the center or the lined paper in the center. So I'm thinking it might look like this. So that's pretty fluffy for one signature. Okay, so we've got this. Then we've got our designer paper, place the journal, some of the story. More of Mildred's Inheritance, our little pocket page, little writing page. We don't know what we'll do with this. And then we've got the center of our signature, and then we start back through. A pocket. And I probably am going to gesso on these pages. So if you wanted to write on them, glue. So that's probably how signature 1 is going to look. I just really have to mash this and get those stitches in there. All right, so I'm going to close out today's second episode of Let's Build a Journal. I will get these pages dried, and I'll put the rest of my signatures together, and I probably will stitch 2 signatures off camera, stitch 1 on camera in the next episode, and then stitch them to their spine, and then work on the cover, get that all together, and then that will be episode 3, and hopefully episode 4 will just be putting the ephemera and decorating the cover. We'll close out the series of Let's Build a Journal. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this live, well, I'm doing it as a live stream, but there's no audience. If you enjoy this stream, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not a subby, I wish you would think about becoming a subby. I'm trying to get my subby list up to 1,000, right around 700 at this point. So I would appreciate you joining my other subs. And I think that's about it. Remember, take time to be creative and enjoy the journey. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.